5 starts with commit your way to the Lord. The word commit in verse 5 speaks of surrender. Waiting on God means we are surrendering everything to him. If we commit, we surrender. And we come back to the word meek, again, that's found in verse 11 of chapter 37. We are not surrendering to the world when we are meek. We are surrendering to God. When we do that, we are strong. Meekness is not weakness. I read about a man. Putting this message together was fun, but I read about a man who drove down an alley one day in a little Volkswagen Bug, and he met a man coming the other way in a big truck, and there was no room for both vehicles to pass. And the man in the truck stuck his head out the window and yelled, "You better back up, mister, because I don't back up for fools." The man in the Volkswagen stuck his head out the window and said, "That's okay, I always back up for fools." And he put his VW in reverse and backed away. Guess who won that argument? Meekness does not mean weakness. It involves the power of God helping us to do what is right when we're surrendered to him. God wants us to trust him and love him. He wants us to be so in love with him that I'm going to commit my ways to him. I'm going to commit myself to him. Commit all you do to him. Serve him for all the right reasons. Never be jealous. If you put him first, he promises to bring good things to pass. Wait on the Lord, and he'll bring about surprising results. Wait without whining. We have a tendency in our lives to whine. Yes, your children whine, but you know what? We as adults whine before God an awful lot. I'm chief example. I don't always wait without whining about it. But we've got to learn to wait without whining. We've got to learn to rest without wrestling. To be still. To wait. Trust in him, and he shall bring it to pass. He shall bring forth your righteousness as the light and your justice as the noonday. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently on him. And again, it goes back to that word fret. Do not get angry because of him who prospers in his way, because of the man who brings wicked schemes to pass. Those out there in the world that are not living for God, it may seem like they're getting ahead in life and they've got money and they've got everything in line. And meanwhile, we're over here wrestling with God, and he's just asking us to be patient and rest. But again, we don't like to rest in 2026. My dad had the audacity to tell me that snapping beans was relaxing. Thought he was nuts. He snapped beans for 3 days. You got to be very relaxed. And his fingers don't work right, and he still snapped beans for 3 days. I couldn't snap beans for 3 days. I did used to help Graham snap beans, Tracy. I didn't get out of that. I didn't like it. But we need to learn to rest in the Lord. And then we need to keep serving without stressing. Let God do his work while you faithfully trust him in the waiting places. So if you learn to wait on the Lord in a way that will bring you to, if you want to learn to wait on the Lord in a way that will bring you to a point of victory, you got to remember these 4 things. Remember, the game's not over till God says it's over. Second, realize that God has a plan even when you can't see it. Third, love what you have in Jesus, and you will get exactly what you need. Love what you have in Jesus. not to give me more because I want more. We want more in 2026 than we've ever wanted in generations. But if we love what we have in Jesus, we'll eventually get exactly what we need. And finally, don't fret, but be faithful. Don't whine, but wait. Don't wrestle, but rest. Don't stress, simply serve him. A man had a dream in which God told him to push a large rock in his yard. The next morning he went outside, began to push the huge stone. Obviously it didn't move, and later in that day he tried it again and no movement, and he did that 2 or 3 times a day for about 2 months. And he was praying one evening and said, Lord, I've pushed the rock as you told me to, but it hasn't moved. The Lord said, I didn't tell you to move the rock, but simply to push it. Now look at your shoulders. Look at how big and strong your shoulders are. Look at your arms. Look at your hands. They become large, and your fingers are large and your hands are callous. He said, you see, my child, I'm getting you ready for something in your future. You are strong enough now to do what I have planned for you. The purpose was never to move the rock across the yard. The purpose was to prepare the man for what was in the future. See, we all are living at times in the waiting place. What are you waiting on? What waiting point are you at in your life? Waiting time is not wasted time. Waiting time is not wasted time. God is strengthening you for the future. God is preparing you for battles ahead. He's getting you ready for something better. That's why we go to Isaiah and we say, wait on the Lord, and he'll renew your strength. Lord, the rock isn't moving. The rock's not supposed to move. The Lord didn't tell me to move the rock. The Lord told me to push the rock. See, we sometimes interpret God's plans according to our own mind. And that's where we get in trouble. Where we need to go back to is go back to the Word. What does the Word tell me? The Word tells me to rest in the Lord and wait patiently. I don't like the waiting place. I've been there numerous times. I was there this past week. Because when you're in the hospital, you have no choice but to wait. You can't take meds until they give them to you. You don't get to eat unless they say you can get to eat. Wednesday morning, or Wednesday afternoon or something, it was Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday morning, the nutrition lady came in and we're trying to order lunch, and she said, oh, we can't do that, you're diabetic. What? Yeah, it says you're diabetic. I can't add that. I said, I am not diabetic. My glucose when I came in was 84. My A1C is under 5. I am not diabetic. But she couldn't put anything in that menu until the doctor changed what was in my chart. I had to wait. I couldn't leave when I wanted to leave because I had to wait. We don't like to wait. We're a society that likes to move. We're a society that likes to be going places and doing things and expecting things to happen. God's timing does not always line up with our timing. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently. I don't like the waiting place. But if you're in the waiting place, don't whine, don't wrestle, and don't stress, because you're just going to make it worse for yourself. Learn to rest in the Lord. Learn in that waiting place to love Him with everything that's in you. Learn in the waiting place that even though I can't see it, He's working on a plan. And when you're trying to move that rock, remember, you were never told to move the rock. He's just building you up for a better future. Stand with me. The waiting place. I